do that unless we end the developer monopoly here in Manatee County. We have to end it. I don't know if any of you have seen, but I worked at the county. I was endorsed by Commissioner McCann, who I worked on his campaign in 2024. And how many of you actually went out in 2024 working on some of these grassroots campaigns? Raise your hands. I unfortunately have to report back to you that the job is not done. We thought we finished it in 2024, but now Commissioner McCann put an article out in the Bradenton Times today. I encourage you all to read it. And his message is finish the job of 2024 in 2026. We have two candidates running for office here, grassroots candidates running against two people who were brought in by that developer onslaught in 2022. That is myself, that is Gibellina. We need to bring real leadership governed by you, not by special interests, and that's what I'm looking to do for District 2. Thank you. Please go to leftfederalvoting.com. Thank you very much.
For the record, Glenn Gadfly, Gibellina. So, I'll give you a little history lesson about Gadfly. It goes back to Socrates. He was asking all the tough questions of the powers to be, and they got pissed off and they said, you know what? You're a gadfly. Don't come back up here. You ask the tough questions, and by the way, here's a glass of hemp. You're gone. So I got that pinned by Amanda Bell, District 2. She said, oh, you're just a gadfly. And it stuck with me. So I wear that badge with honor. Now, as Ed said, as Liz said, I've been going there 18 years. I have gone to more commissioner meetings than all the city commissioners that are there right now. All of them. And I do my homework. I write letters. I go, I speak. So you have to be engaged with it. And after 18 years, I didn't move the needle much. Oh man, there's something wrong here. So as I look around, I'm going, there's a problem. And the problem is with the commissioners themselves. We have great candidates running for District 1. And I will tell you, regardless of who wins, if Ed and I don't get in there, nothing is going to matter. Because here's the problem. I wrote a resolution to the board, and it said, stay in your lane, right? So we had our beloved Carol Phelps, who was anti-development, wanted to slow the roll, right? The other four commissioners, you got George Grooves at large. But more importantly, you have 3 district commissioners that don't stay in their lane. So they go over to Carol and say, you know what? We don't care what you think. Our campaign said the developers need those projects, and we're going to override you. Total disrespect to Dr. McCann and to Carol Phelps. So until we change those other 3 seats, it's going to be the same old, same old. So I would encourage you to make sure that we get rid of all the district commissioners. Because here's what happens. When these big projects come up, they think they're at-large commissioners, and they're not. They never got 1 vote from District 1, and they never got 1 vote from District 5. And their attitude is, I don't care. My developer wants them in there. We're going to vote it in there. Those people can't vote me out because I'm not in their district, right? That's a bad way to look at things. They don't respect the sitting district commissioner. So we need to do that. For the record, Glenn Gadfly, Jr.
If anybody else wants a drink, they're going to close the drink thing, so just let you know.
Last call. All right. My name's Ed Ference. I'm running for Manatee County Commissioner, District 6 at large. It represents the whole county. I was born and raised here, married, have 2 sons that still reside here in Manatee County. I worked for Manatee County government as a manager in the utilities for 30 years, and I resigned my job to run for a county commissioner because I felt like people needed a voice because they weren't being heard. I watched the 2020 elections, I watched the 2022. When you're in government and higher management, you sort of hush from talking about much, and I'd watch all the different videos and see everything, and I made the decision before I hit my 30. When I hit my 30, I was out and going to do this for the citizens. I deferred my retirement to do this. I want to be able to serve on what I know that ends. I've seen all the wasteful spending. I just was talking to a bunch last night about up Manatee Road project and how they're doing the private-public development and how much money, and I pointed out over $6 million worth of wasteful spending there, what we've done. We could have saved the taxpayers and the tax rates and all that, and helped cut the millage between that and some of the enterprise funds, because it's mixed bag there. Growth, controlling the growth. We need to control it, number one priority. We need to stop all this unsustainable building, that our infrastructure gets put back together. Our roadways are clogged and we can't get anywhere. I was late getting here because traffic's so horrible, and it takes one accident and then you really move nowhere. I know infrastructure been better than any other candidate. Doesn't matter what race they are, and if anybody wants to talk infrastructure, I'll talk infrastructure with anybody. I've been doing it all my life. I laid water lines, sewer lines, lift stations, helped build roads. I know what needs done. I know how to get it done. And as far as the budgets, I watch the wastefulness. Like I said, we're paying developers to build a road, and it's a $98 million project, and he's hit 4%. That's $4 million. He finished the road within 900 days. It's another $1 million bonus for him. What kind of incentive are you giving the builder to build the road right when you say, hey, we'll give you extra $1 million if you do it in 900 days? You think there could be corners cut where he gets that $1 million? I think he would. I don't know. How about you, man? You know them too, yeah. All kinds of stuff. We buy houses. Oh, we need this house. What are we taking? Oh, we paid $1 million. Let's sell it back for $850,000. We need to stop that bad spending. I know the government. I know who's in it for the right reasons. I know the people in it for the wrong reasons. I know where the wasteful spending is, and I know how we need to fix it. So, vote for me, August 18th, District 6, I'll represent you. I won't be sold out to the developers. I already talked to them, told them I don't want the money. I'm a man of my word, so thank you.
Hi, how are you? I'm Melton. I'm running for House District 71. I'm looking around, and it seems like most of you have heard me speak already, so I hope I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to tell you very quickly what I am, what I'm not, and what I hope to accomplish. First and foremost, I always say every time I stand up, I'm a Christian. My faith defines me. It guides every decision I make. My belief system keeps me sane. If believe me, in my life, that's a feat. I'm a father of a 34-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 4-month-old. Oh my God. I'm the grandfather of a 2-month-old. So I spread them out a bit. I'm a conservative Republican. I am pro-life. I believe in the sanctity of every life. I'm an adamant supporter of President Donald Trump. I believe he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. I don't care what the polls say or where they took him. I'm a real estate agent with Wagner Realty. I own half a plumbing company with my best friend from high school. I own a little commercial building in Palmetto, and for 40 years I've been a lawyer here in Manatee County. I spent 4 decades helping people work things out, solve disputes, build coalitions, work together to accomplish a single goal, sometimes with 2 very different goals on 2 different very sides of cases, and try to bring them together to help them find common ground. That's what I want to do in Tallahassee. Let me tell you what I'm not. I'm not a put-up Republican Florida candidate. I'm not a put-up REC candidate. I'm my own man. I've been able to successfully raise about $350,000 from my campaign. Not a single penny of it from Henderson, Neal, or Roof, any of the developers. No Mosaic money, no FP&L money. I don't need it. I'm my own man. I'm not going to take it. I'll be 65 when I get to Tallahassee. I don't need anybody telling me what I'm going to do or what I'm not going to do when I get up there. That's really important to me. I don't have any desire to be a career politician. I don't even like the word politician, I prefer the word legislator. I'm going to stop the tradition of running for 8 years in the House, then running for 8 years in the Senate, then finding another government job. I served 8 years in the House, I'll be 72, I'm going to come home, take my child and my grandchild to 2nd grade.
A hero.
Let me tell you what I'd like to do, as quickly as I can before my time's up. We got to clean up our water, folks. We live on a peninsula. We got to legislate it, we got to fund it, we got to make sure we clean it up. That includes the mosaic issues, that includes preserving Rattlesnake Key, that includes a bunch of things. We got to stop wasteful spending. We got to stop it. I would love to go to the legislature in one session and have everybody look and say, the state's running great, let's all go home. You know, that's probably never going to happen, but that would be a dream. Legislation, government regulation, and taxes are the killers of small business. They kill capitalism. We have to stop that. We got to slow the growth, and the infrastructure's got to be in place before we build. I think everybody up here agrees. And lastly, we got to secure our services. We got to make sure that we have the services available to take care of our law enforcement, our firefighters. I have a lot of endorsements. I don't want to go through them all. I've talked to you about all the boards I've been on. I was born here, graduated from Bayshore, went away to school, came back, grew up on Parkway in Glenn's district. So I've been around a long time. Please look at my website. It's got all my endorsements on it. Look at my Facebook. It's got all the video endorsements on it. So I'm sorry I went over, and if I hadn't, I would have yielded the balance of my time to Congressman Hidden Speir.
Thank you, Melton. First thing is I want to thank the Elks Lodge for hosting this event. And I want to thank you. If you guys have followed my Facebook page, I made a post not too long ago about showing up. And truly, I thank you all for showing up. And I don't just mean being here today. And there's two people that show up every time that I'd really especially like to thank. And that's Trent and Jennifer Wayman. They set this up, and they help out all these candidates more than you would know, and more than you see. But I'm asking you each, I don't know how many of you are in District 72, I don't know how many of you are in 71. I'm here to share a common theme. There's a table full of grassroots candidates here. I will try to distinguish myself from them with one factor. If any of these people here win, I think we're in good hands. If I don't win, you're not in good hands, and whoever's sitting here, it may not matter if they win or not. Because my opponent works for the developers. You can read about it, it's public information, it's public knowledge, and every bill that he's introduced this session benefited developers in one way or another. And I know Melton said he doesn't like to be called a politician. I don't like that name either. And I don't even want to be called a legislator. I want to be called a representative, because that's the title of the position that I'm running for, state representative. I want to represent you, the people of Manatee County, District 72. And I want every commissioner, future commissioner sitting on this panel here, to know that they have a direct line to me, and that I want to represent their best interests and the interests of the people that voted for them in Tallahassee. That's the main goal, is the only reason I'm doing this. I grew up in Pinellas County. If you've been there lately, it's a nightmare. Traffic is out of control. They've got highways going up into the air now. They have second-level highways in Pinellas County. I never thought I'd see it. I grew up in dirt roads in Pinellas County. I used to collect cans and go hunting for snakes, lizards, turtles, you name it, and it was all there. And I let them go. I never hurt any animal. But my point is, all that's gone. And now I'm seeing that happen here in Manatee County. And that's not why I moved to Manatee County, to get away from the development, and it's chasing me. So please don't blame me for that. You can blame my opponent because he works for the developers. But again, everybody has some decisions to make August 18th. Anybody in this line, I think you're going to be in good hands. We got two running against incumbents, which is Glenn and Ed. I highly recommend, they're the only two running against incumbents beside myself, and I'm just warning you right now. I'm not in this to be a hero, I'm not in this for attention, I'm not in this for anything else other than to represent you, the people, myself included in that, my children, grandchildren, and all of our families. So,
can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Okay.
Like it better without the mic, if I could. I just want to share with you the joy that I have of seeing this group of candidates. This is amazing, and I want. I haven't read Bob McCann's article, but I guarantee you it's a good one, and it's absolutely true. I was running in 2024, and I didn't start the fight against the developers. I didn't know, I just felt like I was called to run. And then when I was called to run, then I find out that there's a bully in the block, and he's got 7 county commissioners, and his name was Anthony Pedicini. So immediately, it's just in my nature, it's the way that God wired me to call out the bully in the room, because the bully is suppressing our voices, the bully is suppressing our rights. So I went full after Anthony Pedicini and political corruption, not knowing that it was tied into all the development. I had a general idea, but then started finding out that this was the fight. And everybody was saying, stay in your lane, you're running for federal Congress. This ties in to the federal level because we need campaign finance reform so that we can see who's actually paying for who, so that voters can be informed. So we've got a problem with the misinformation that happens from political consultants and the corrupt establishment. So by God's grace, we got rid of Anthony Pedicini. He is completely out of Manatee County, and I will do this, pat myself on the back, and all of you, because that was huge. Now what's happened is they've changed faces. Now Max Goodman is running these same Anthony Pedicini incumbents. Max Goodman, they just handed it over to Max Goodman because Anthony Pedicini said, my name is Mud, and it is, and it should be. Now we need to make sure that Max Goodman's name is Mud because it's the same tricks with a different name. So one of the things, I love the dialogue and the conversations back and forth, so I want to kind of seed some of those things. I'm going to be talking about the overdevelopment, the campaign finance reform. Joe Gruters has been a part of the architecture of over 85 dark money PACs. This is how it happens. He's the head of the RNC, and most people, a lot of people don't know this. I see a lot of people that I've talked to before. You know that Joe Gruters signed the legislation and drafted the legislation to make trans a protected class. And then, by God's grace, I was at New College of Florida, and I led the charge to get rid of the Gender Studies Department, which is the indoctrination center for the trans agenda for the entire nation. So that was huge. Yeah, that's So after that, you can see that Joe Gruters would want to get rid of me, and he did get rid of me as a trustee at New College of Florida. So this is personal, this is fun, this is exciting, because we've given the voters a clear choice between the establishment and we the people in my race. The other things that I want to talk about is the economic reality. Inflation is causing massive problems, and it's a congressional problem because they're just printing money. And just ask me about that, and don't fall for the affordable housing canard, because that's the government solving the problem that the government created. It never works. Okay, and that's what my opponent, I guarantee you, will be pushing. The other thing that my opponent will be pushing, she hasn't come out and said, I'm all for AI data centers, but she will, because the establishment is pushing this. And this is a nuanced argument, and there's nobody who understands this, in my opinion, better than I do, given my technology experience and my business experience, as well as now, over the last 2 years, my understanding of the environmental impact of these AI data centers, the hyperscale general AI data centers, and the problem with that, and also the America First. What does it mean to be America First? It means simply we've got to go after Anthony Fauci. We cannot continue just to say everything that happened during COVID was okay. It's not okay, and the tyranny will continue. They're just taking a step back and waiting, and the tyranny is going to step in again when the moment strikes. The other one is Epstein. Now, a lot of people are like, well, everybody said that Epstein doesn't matter. No, it does matter. There's people that are associated with the Epstein list that need to go to jail. We need to have all this fully come out, and even if that puts me at odds with people politically, so be it. I can't pull back from the fight and doing what's right. And so I've proven that again and again throughout my life. And again, with COVID, with the opioid crisis, I was telling people here in some of my speeches that I'm just Forrest Gump. I end up being at the right place at the right time, and it's all by God's grace. And ask me about the marriage ceremony when we have time, okay? Because that was fun. That was on Saturday. Saturday. All right, thank you, guys.
I guess Jim wants me to explain the America First, the Florida America First PAC is a PAC that was opened by James the Priest. He is planning on, so if you look at Melton's race, you have a guy named Jordan Barndor you see his palm card, it says America First Leadership on it. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of these establishment candidates are going to use the words America First, and James the Priest is going to push those people out with his PAC, his Florida America First PAC. He's probably going to put out a voter guide that says, that all these establishment people are endorsed by the Florida America First PAC, similar to what they did last cycle with the Make America Great Again in DC. You had Trump and DeSantis up there, and none of those people were endorsed, but it fooled a lot of people, and I think that's probably what's going to happen again. So we just need to make everybody aware of that. That's a message that we're going to be putting out and spreading. So, questions? You're going to ask questions now? Okay. So it's taking out of how we're doing this. Okay. How we want. Here, how about you pick it out and I'll read it. This question is for the BOCC candidates. What is your opinion of the current level of spending of the county? Do you support reduced spending from all departments, including something? Including constitutional departments. Everybody get that? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I support cutting the budget. Like I said, we got so much wasteful spending within the county. We bought a house, like I said, sold it. These private, public developer agreements, we overpay on them, and we're paying developers to go the road what we could do on our own. We have the staff to do it. A lot of current commissioners argue and say, oh, we could do it quicker. Well, no, or that builder could do it quicker than we can, but it's our money, and they spending it like it's theirs. We have to live within our means as far as in the budget. So should government live within their means. We need to cut the taxpayers, the millage rates. We need to look at our utility rates and impact fees. If we weren't paying so much out and was collecting the impact fees on the developers, we could keep our rates more sustainable for the people and the citizens, taxpayers. I'll let Glenn do next.
For the record, Glenn Gibellina. So, DOJ came in, they found $122 million of waste, abuse, and fraud. So we know that number is there, all right? More importantly is, as I go to all these meetings, the department heads are out of control, right? I'll just give you one example because I want to hear from the rest of the candidates. Let's take the animal shelter, right? What a debacle that is. So when that first came about, I said, you know what? And I went to college for architecture, so I know a little bit. I'm a certified builder, so I know a little bit about construction. They got an outfit. First of all, I looked at the state of Florida. I picked 20 animal shelters. I called them up. I said, who was your architect and draftsman? Got that information, sent it to the county and said, not only should we keep the money in Florida because it's a different environment. It's different weather here than up north, so we want to keep it local. They get an outfit out of Kansas, right? International company. So I wrote them, I said, man, got 6,000 employees. Send me a list of all the animal shelters you've designed and implemented. Oh no, we haven't done any. We build wastewater treatment plants and bridges. So that's the kind of rogue departments you have. It was $500,000 just in the design service. So all that needs to be, and by the time it gets to the commissioners, it's too late. The checks have been signed, that money is gone, and by the way, do not exceed is a farce. More contracts that I can count on exceed their amount that they originally promised. So I want to rein in these department heads. I want to say, let's take a second look at this. And they're just lazy. They should have been reaching out to those architects and says, we want to come and visit that animal shelter. It's a lot of problems.
So here's what I'll say. I'm absolutely for ending wasteful spending here in Manatee County. But when it comes to constitutional officers, we have to take a look at it. So we set the budget for a few constitutional. You have the sheriff, you have the property management, not property manager, tax appraiser. The tax appraiser's budget is actually set by the state, but the county has to fund it. The sheriff has a set amount. He has to receive a certain amount of money from whatever we pass to go to him, and it's the biggest amount of all the department heads. But the problem that I see, those are elected Republicans. I have to, of course, take a look and see, okay, what are you doing with your money? But let's look at what we're doing at Manatee County government. Does it make sense to anyone that a government entity has a government relations department when we are paying lobbyists to do what that government relations department does? And then like Glenn was saying, look at some of these department heads. Look how much we are paying some of these people. Upwards of at least $190,000 plus benefits. So the problem with the wasteful spending that we are seeing, I'm seeing more of it, and this just from my time at the county, is in-house. It is what we are doing in county government. And I was there at that press conference when the CFO came in and said that they found $112 million. Now, we were all waiting to see where it was. We wanted to see that report. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think they've released it. But what I will say is, there is definitely waste, fraud, and abuse. It's the government. Of course there is. So we need to elect people like myself, like Glenn, who are going to go in there and be, one, transparent and tell you exactly what's going to happen and where your money is going.
Our county government is a large enterprise. It has a budget of $1.3 billion, over $2 billion in reserves, 223 employees, and over 466,000 constituents. So we have to at least recognize that it is a large enterprise. I was the former head of the Doge Committee here in Manatee County. I was unanimously appointed by all the members of the Board of County Commissioners. And what we discovered in doing our due diligence on spending and efficiency with the county government is that the workers, the actual county workers, know where the inefficiencies and other problems exist. The problem is managers aren't asking them. So we can dispense with a whole lot of audits and everything else. What we really need is a change in the organizational climate of our county government. And that's a typical business transformation kind of problem. So if we were to incent, or not maybe incent, but to insist that the managers at the department level have a budget reduction quota to meet, or there will be consequences, believe it or not, I think we can see a lot of efficiency come in, not overnight, but certainly without a whole lot of aggravation. Thank you.
The bottom line is that the government of Manatee County doesn't realize the money doesn't belong to them, it belongs to you. And they don't live on the same budget you do. So they've not had to worry about if their electric bill's going to get paid. And Jared said this at a meeting I thought was, he said there's incentive for growth because that's how the Manatee County Board of Commissioners gets a raise. They don't vote themselves a raise, they get more residents and you get a raise. More residents, more money. So the bottom line is, your money needs to be treated like it's your money and not their money. Who is oversight? Who's watching to see what they spend? When you have, where I live at on 675, and the road drops off 2 foot, and you ask who's fixing that, they're going to get to it. On my road, 49th Avenue, there's a curve in the middle of the road where they didn't want to straighten the road out, and everybody passes the buck, so one of my neighbors has lost 3 acres because the road goes through his yard, and it's still doing it after 10 years. So government waste is out there. These guys act like it's just money they're going to spend, and that's not your money. We want to, one of them said he wants to have another jogging lane because he's doing this for his 50th birthday, so we want to put a jogging lane in. It's like, congratulations, I'm glad you're turning 50 and still running, but you're running on my dime. Build your own track. Don't add a road to a bridge if you need a job. But that's the point I'm making, is that they do that because they don't realize it's your money. And it's not, as long as it's not in your neighborhood, they got Mine-itis. They got theirs, they don't care if you keep yours. With all the people that are in Manatee County, you should be able to lower taxes, not have to keep raising them. There's more of it. We don't need all the services that want to provide. They can put parks in their own neighborhoods. Every developer should have done that at their own expense, not at my expense. I get my road graded twice a year. I'm sure Ed knows about that. I get my road graded twice well, it was like three times, and then we got a deputy moved on a road, and it got graded a lot more, thank goodness. But it's a situation where there's just so much government waste on our dime. They need to be accountable for the money and be held accountable, period. And Mark, such a smart guy, the Doge stuff he was doing, like, they found it. Now they're trying to stop reporting where they put the money at. So hold them accountable. You can at least do that. Hold them accountable.
So I dealt with a lot of training on fraud, waste, and abuse in the service, because they make sure that they count every little pen that you use. But, I think there needs to be better transparency and accountability when it comes to these things, so there needs to be continuing audits. But one thing I can think is that there needs to be whistleblower protections for county staff, so that we can report these things. So you can do an anonymous climate survey like we did in the service as well, and they can report these things without having repercussions that protects them, and we can get the right to the fraud, waste, and abuse and slice through without having to deal with all of the
So coming from a large utility corporation, Fortune 500 company, they wanted to get more efficient because they wanted to sell themselves to another utility. And for several years in a row, they cut the budget 10% every year. And you would be amazed that people didn't get laid off and they were able to cut the budgets 10% and there were no problems. So what I would suggest is there's a whole lot of fluff in that county budget. And I've seen some of it for real, and it's very obvious. The most recent thing, I think, was the generator, the $500,000 generator. And you watch things like that and you think to yourself, meanwhile, out on Dam Road, you've got an EMS station where they're in an old house with all kinds of mold, and they're the people that are supposed to come rescue us, and they're being treated horribly, and the county's not taking care of them. So we have a lot of things we have to deal with, and yes, we have to definitely cut back. I was an executive at a Fortune 500 company, and nobody ever handed me a P card, they call them in the county. Nobody gave me a credit card to go out and spend things and buy cookies and all kinds of stuff. I mean, yeah, that's nice, but big corporations don't do that, and I'm not quite clear on why the county should be doing that with our taxpayer money, buying cookies for a dog's birthday. All kinds of fun stuff like that's going on, and it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And I would suggest that maybe our county administrator needs to do something different, or maybe we need to do something different. Thank you.
Next question for our school board candidate, Camden. Did you pay to get on the ballot, or how did you make it?
I did not pay to get on the ballot. I'm actually proud of months of hard work that it took to qualify by petition. I actually found out last week that I did it. And thank you. And I was overwhelmed by the amount of support I received. You know, I was out knocking on doors day in and day out, and I had help from Mark, John Phillips, and I actually wanted to point out someone in the audience that really helped me, Elizabeth and her friends in the back. I really appreciate your help. Thank you so much. Look back there, she did great again. She did so much for grassroots Kansas to help us get our petition signed. And guys, it wasn't about just the process for me to say that I did it. It was about the principle, because I told myself I wasn't going to run unless I got this done, because it meant something to me, and I needed to prove to myself that I could do this, and that I could go out there and talk to this many voters. I mean, I knocked on over 1,000 doors and ended up turning in over 1,000 petitions to the Supervisor of Elections office. So we did it. I had some great conversations, heard from the voters themselves, the people that are most important on the issues that they really cared about. And one of the biggest things that I heard from people were that the parents did not feel like education was being transparent to them right now. And so one of the things I'm going to be doing is setting up a parental dashboard to show them not only the grades and everything that comes with their students, but the curriculum, the supplemental programs being used, the material, the books, all the stuff that parents have the right to know. And that's how we get public schools back on track, is by restoring parental transparency. That's what I plan on doing.
Next question for Melton Little and John Phillips. Are you in favor of repealing the property tax? What will be used to get revenue in the coffers?
In favor of it, I believe it has to go to a referendum. So whatever the people decide is what I'll support. So that's the simple answer. I don't believe that the bill as it's drafted right now will garner that support necessary. I do have a plan that I think is a good alternative, but it's all speculation at this point, because until it goes to the ballot and the people decide, there's no sense in me discussing my plan. But I will tell you, I think zero property tax would open up the floodgates from all the people that we've already had to deal with moving to Florida. You know, people are paying enormous amount of taxes in New York, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Incidentally, those are 5 states that the developers are still advertising to right now. And guess what? They're all blue states. So while we enjoy the comfort of our red state and our red county, watch out. It's just my personal belief that zero property tax right across the board is going to influence more and more people to move to Florida. My plan would be an incremental increase on your homeowner's exemption that paid out to people the longer they lived in Florida. So I can get into greater detail of that as the election moves forward, and you know, there's no sense in me talking about it right now, but your homestead exemption is right now at $50,000, that's a joke. That's a fluctuation that should be much more than that. But if you take the average home value, let's say Manatee County, 450,000, somewhere in there, you should be able to work on increasing your homeowner's exemption until you reach a full exemption, and that should be based, in my opinion, on how long you've lived here, not move here tomorrow, get zero property tax. So we can talk more about that, and you can look at my Facebook page, follow my website, look forward to more discussion about that. But again, we have to see how this current bill plays out, and it's going to go to a referendum, so let's let the people decide. And whatever the people decide, I will support. And if they decide not to implement it, then I have a good alternative plan that I'd like to pitch when I get to Tallahassee. Woo.
Okay, so I'm very concerned about the property tax bill, because whenever government gives you something with one hand, they reach out with the other to take it from somewhere else. So that concerns me. I don't think the property tax elimination was ever going to pass. I think they all knew that it wasn't going to get through the legislature. The House and the governor don't get along. I think that is sort of a misnomer. I'm concerned that if we eliminate property tax, they're going to make up the funds with some other tax somewhere else. As a small business person, that really concerns me. Secondly, I'm a real estate agent. My license is with Wagner Realty. So my idea for the property tax is that if you're over 50 or 55 years old, when you sell your house at the same tax for the new buyer that you're paying now. So for example, if I was to sell my house where I pay $5,000 a year in taxes right now, to somebody in this room and you came in, your tax bill the first year would be $18,000. That prevents people from moving and buying and downsizing. The second thing that prevents people from moving and buying and downsizing is when they go buy the house, then they have to move in and their tax rate goes from what the person that had it before was at, and it increases to the $18,000. So that it's a double-edged sword. It makes it difficult to sell your own house to downsize, and then it makes it difficult for you to buy a house because the taxes go up so much that it no longer fits within your budget, especially if you're on a fixed income. So I think if you're over 50 or 55, we should eliminate because the government already has the money from our taxes every year. What are they doing with the major increase when I move and my taxes go from 5 to 15,000? Where does that extra $10,000 go? Does that go into the surplus? What are we going to do with the surplus? So at least for that range, I think that should happen with the property taxes. And I think that creates something I call a silver tsunami, which means that you're going to start having people that are 50, 55, that no longer have children at home. Unfortunately, that's not me. Or fortunately, that's not me, depending on how you look at it. But if you want to downsize, I'm in a 5,500 square foot house. I'd like to downsize to a 2,500 square foot house. It's a lot of house for 2 people in a 4-month-old, you know? But you can't afford to because the taxes increase so much. So that's a realistic option, I think, that we have with property taxes. I think that's something that we can get through the legislature. That's a great question.
Question from the audience?
This question is addressed to the candidates for the Board of County Commissioners for Manatee County. How will you guys try to address the safety of both pedestrians on the crosswalks and all that, and the bike lanes from people who just don't abide by the right-of-way laws and turn into developments without even using their turn signals?
Anybody want to take the question?
Fight against it, but I'm going to talk about AI data centers just real quick, rather than AI itself. AI is technology, and it needs to be stewarded well. And we need somebody in Congress that knows the effects, the overall effects that AI has, and we need to regulate that and get in front of it instead of behind it, because we're definitely behind it on the AI curve within schools. And please understand that what's happening now with this push to make AI data centers a strategic national importance is a lie. I'm just going to call it like it is. It's a lie. What they're doing is consolidating and making a monopoly with your tax dollars. So they're taking your tax dollars and they're making a monopoly with the big 4 hyperscale data centers, which is, let's see if I can get these, there's Meta, there's AWS, and the other 2. I can't remember the other 2. Microsoft, thank you. And I'd say Claude is one of them too. So what they end up doing is they take what should be an open AI, and Congress should regulate that so that it doesn't become a monopoly, so that other people can build their technology on it and verticalize it as much as possible. That would tap into our overall strength as a nation. It would actually be a huge strategic advantage if we could put American ingenuity into AI. And that's the way you do it, is you don't have a monopoly, you don't have a state-sponsored AI hyperscale data center that destroys intellectual property, destroys jobs, destroys the environment. Everybody's focused on the environment, and that's absolutely true. It is not good for the environment, but it's going to destroy the economy as well. It's going to destroy what are these students going to do? Their brains and all the intellectual property that they could possibly put together is stolen by these AI data models, and then and there's no chance for them to actually earn a living if they're involved with intellectual property or artistic endeavors. This is a huge problem, and it needs to be protected, and it's an antitrust issue. It's a government boondoggle that is going to burst and destroy and hurt the entire economy. It could be what leads us into another depression. I don't mean to sound depressing, but this is what's happening. Just imagine the Green New Deal. This is the Green New Deal applied to these big corporate welfare recipients. It's a huge problem that people aren't fully aware of just yet. I'll be putting together and if I could get everybody's email, honestly, if you're not already on my Substack, I'll be putting together a Substack either tonight or tomorrow night that really describes this. Please read it, follow it, and let everybody know about it, because this is coming, and it's coming at us fast. And it's coming at us from this administration. Byron Donalds is pushing this very hard right now. So, and there's going to be a lot of other people that fall right in line and say, this is the competitive advantage to Florida. We need to make Florida basically the back office to San Francisco. It's a hyperscale data center, so it's going to destroy the environment, destroy our jobs, and destroy the free markets within technology.
Ed Ference, a similar question to what I asked the District 1 commissioners. Are you concerned with dividing the vote and eliminating the chance for a grassroots candidate to win?
Yes, of course. There's another grassroots out there, and I am concerned about dividing the vote, and then someone was going to serve the same old we've been getting in government establishment, and so there's always that concern. So I don't know what else to really say on it, but of course there is. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to agree with that. It's a big issue. It's a huge concern because there's going to be a bunch of money that comes in through Jennings to Priest into this race. And Jennings to Priest is just another Anthony Pedicini. It's another Max Goodman. He's tied into all the developer dollars, and that's going to earn, unfortunately, probably a good 40% of the vote. And if the other 60% is divided three ways, do the math, and we've got I would love to see a consolidation between great candidates. They're all great candidates. But for the grassroots concern, that is a concern of mine as well.
Any audience questions? With Lindsay and Tim.
My question is for you, Cam. First of all, happy to meet you in person finally. But how do you believe schools should balance campus safety with students' constitutional rights when dealing with off-campus speech, jokes, sarcasm, immature communication between minors that may later be taken out of context? And what responsibility does a school district have when a disciplinary decision results in significant emotional, educational, or developmental harm to a child, particularly in cases where the response may be excessive? And I don't want to overshare with the room, but I homeschool, and my 13-year-old was arrested last year and held in custody for 14 days for a text message that she sent to a friend. So I want to see there be some sort of safeguard within the Manatee County School Board that protects other families from going through what our family has gone through.
Thank you for being vulnerable. I appreciate the question. We have to. That's all I get? Thank you. It's good. No, I appreciate the question and the openness. I think freedom of speech is very important for anybody. I mean, any good citizen gets freedom of speech. Something that we have to be careful with is when that turns into a threat to another student. That's the the cases I can see where it needs to be monitored and make sure something is done to protect the students in the schools. When it's something other than that, when it's in a playful way, I mean, kids are kids, they're gonna make mistakes, and I think as long as we're protecting the students in the schools, that's the responsibility of the board. Overall, the number one thing is we gotta protect the students, no matter what they're doing, when they're doing it in the school. If they're in our schools, they're our responsibility to protect, and I will stand by that and do whatever I can to protect them. That includes students like your daughter, was it your daughter you said? That go through things like that. We gotta make sure we're across the board being fair, honest, and open, and working with the teachers, administrators, principals on these issues to make sure safety is our number one priority. So it's a difficult question. I'm gonna talk to you after this and get to know more about your story to understand a little bit more, but thank you.
Yeah, I'll just put this to any commissioner who wants to talk about this. Last week we had a planning commission meet on the comprehensive plan, and I wasn't happy to see the outcome because they pretty much voted unanimously to push it forward because they found out that the Board of County Commissioners wanted to try to vote on this before the election. So I know Liz wants to speak about it. But you know, we have till 2027, December, I believe, to actually pass this comp plan. Are you going to be there on June 4th, if you can be, and speak out about this? Because I think this reminds me of what they did with the wetlands and the impact fees. They passed this right before election.
Let's try to keep the answers to like 1 minute.
Here's what I'll say. First of all, that comprehensive plan has just been an atrocity throughout the moment it's happened. I want to say, do you know who is in charge of creating the comprehensive plan? Kimberly Horn. Who is the vice president of Kimberly Horn? Mr. Phillips?
I think it's a gentleman by the name of Bill
Connerly?
Yeah.
There you go. And Bill Connerly is the same guy that's in the developer's pocket, correct? So that tells you everything you need to know about that comprehensive plan. And they're going to do whatever they can to get another leg up over the citizens of Manatee County. I said it on Cam's show. If you are not invited to the table, you are on the menu. This comprehensive plan is putting citizens on the menu.
You know, District 1 right now isn't being represented. And if it obviously affects, you know, the voters and the residents of District 1, I think the right thing to do is to defer, you know, until there's a new county commission. One of us, right, will be on the board, and so that the people in District 1 would have a voice. I think it really comes down as simple as that.
So real quick, there's 700 pages that we didn't have a correct timeline to review. That's the first problem. The second problem is that the current board puts an unrealistic date to the staff and said, we need this back by June, right? So I blame the commission for that. If you look at any government contract, they get 90, 180 days to look at it, right? You gotta go over 700 pages, 210 pages of a summary, right? Written by the enemy, and if you look at the agenda, I wrote all about that. So, again, we don't have to have any decisions till 2027. The best thing they can do is defer that, take the pressure off the staff on that timeline, because that's what they came back. Oh, we have to get it done. We got a deadline. Blow the deadline. Listen to the people.
Yeah, I think it should be held off some. You know, it's getting pushed through at 700 pages, and, you know, with a lot of us, I mean, I know I'm working a full-time job and doing this about night 2 right now, actually 3 days in a row. You've been looking at each other, right? So try and sit down and, you know, where do you serve? I want to serve when I get on the board. I do want to sit down and try, but I don't think that when I went down there and talked to the board right now, they're going to listen to me anyhow as a candidate. I tell you that. I went down there as a 30-year manager of the utility system a while back, told them how they didn't need an $850-something thousand VACCON truck. And I said, if you are going to approve it, take these things off, because for water, you don't need it. It's sewer specific. Guess what? Poof, right on through. So I don't think they're going down there going to rat anything. You know how we make a difference? Vote us in. Get the right people in the right seats where you get to vote, where people are voting and listening and representing you and not representing other people. Oh, sorry.
I'm not a county commissioner, I know that, but I'm going to jump in and use this opportunity. I am a retired Coast Guard veteran, 31 and a half years. The state representative job pays $29,900 a year roughly, and it doesn't come with any reward. Nothing, there's no fame or fortune. And I don't have any other job, that's the important key. I'm not the vice president of an engineering firm. I'm not tied to anyone but the people of Manatee County. So I just want you to consider that and the words that Ed Bailey shared about who's rewriting that plan and why it's so important to get that pushed through before the new county commissioners take their seats. Just consider that. Use, like Cam is saying, use common sense, because it's all there on the table. I don't even need to say anything else.
No, I agree, it should be deferred, they should just keep passing until a new board's in. There's no reason that some of the people that are voting this through, wanting this through, continue to push them. They don't represent the people, that they didn't vote in their district, they're just taking over and doing this because they're putting their friends' power over the people's choice. And it's got to be deferred until after the election.
I think it should be deferred for two reasons. One is the proper representation for all the districts involved, including ones that need to be turned over for special interest candidates. And there's also obvious special interest influence in this comprehensive plan is another reason why it needs to be pushed.
Okay, I went to the planning commission and spoke to them. And one of the things that I would argue with some of the folks here, it does make a difference when we go, because one of the other projects didn't have anybody speak on it except for me, and it passed because the planning commission said, well, if nobody cared enough to write in or come down here, well, too bad, what happens to their property? Because we're just going to do this because nobody came and said anything that's from the local area. And I want to point out that this, and it's been said, it's over 700 pages. It was dropped on April 17th, and we didn't even have 30 days to look at it. But it took staff, basically, one of the staff admitted it was over a year to pull this together. And they worked with Kimley Horn, who's been embedded in that organization for 16 years or more. And let me tell you, I believe that to some degree they steer the way the county does things, and I find that reprehensible, candidly. And we didn't have Carol, and they knew we didn't have Carol. We didn't have any representation. And by the way, District 1 is going to be impacted more than any other district by anything they do with this plan. And one of the things that's going to happen next year, we don't have to do anything until December 1st, 2027. And next year, maybe if we don't have any hurricanes earlier in the year, SB 180 might go away. And they want to shove this down our throat, and they're in a hurry to make it happen before maybe SB 180 goes away. And I'm quite candidly furious. And we need to have people show up at the BOCC, and we need to tell them, just set it on a shelf and let it sit for a little while. We need time to review it, and let's wait and see what our representation happened, who we have, when we need some help here. This is not appropriate.
All right, this is a yes or no question for the commissioner raises. Yeah, I'll get that in a second. As commissioner, will you commit to a nationwide search for county administrator, which was promised by the previous board? Yes or no?
Ooh, good one. Absolutely.
Yes or no?
All right, I would say I'm looking, sir.
Yes.
I would vote yes.
Yes.
We have the majority, yes.
For the record, yes.
Watch out, Glenn. Good job.
Okay, maybe this is as much a comment as a question, but as I've been listening to the whole group talk, I've been thinking that I bet you if you asked the citizens of Manatee County, 90% would say they hate all this development. So you guys are in the right place with what I think is probably the majority of what people think. But I'm wondering, what I'm thinking is you guys aren't giving enough specifics. In other words, Glenn made the comment, I can't imagine a developer candidate being elected in District 1. But I'm thinking, how would the average voter going in with the ballot know who the developer candidate even is? You gotta name names. And I mean, Eddie commented about the Jennings Caprice money that keeps funneling in and funding the other side. But most people don't have any idea about that. And what I was thinking was, I'll be a little facetious here, but you guys need to get a little bit meaner. You need to point the finger and say, that person is funded by so-and-so. Because 90% of the citizens out there don't want more of what's been happening, but they don't look at a ballot and know who the developer candidates are. You gotta tell them. And you gotta let them know where the funding is coming from, because they're gonna get these mailers that come from these very nice sounding names like the Citizens for Florida Future or some name like that. You guys gotta let them know who that really is if you can. Because I was thinking that if I'm the average voter, I want to walk away with something specific that I can latch onto. For instance, just as an example, if there was some big new development proposal that was going to come up next year, something big out in Mayaca that's not yet being developed, if you knew about it, you could say that's an example of something that I wouldn't vote for. But just my general thought would be, give them something more specific to latch onto. Give them some names, tell them where the money's coming from, because what I basically get out of the discussion is you guys, most of you are from around here, you've been here a long time, and what you're saying is, I'll do a better job. That's my pitch, I will do a better job. But I think, I'm just gonna make a suggestion, give them a little more detail and point the finger a little bit, and say, that's, this is the kind of thing I wouldn't vote for, and my opponent did. That's just a suggestion.
Give me the mic, please. Give me the mic.
Good feedback, Paul.
I got you.
I'm happy to address that. If you look at my Facebook page, I've laid this out at least 50 times. Candidate campaign finances, that's the first place you go to look. If you look at my opponent's finances, in 24, he got $224,000 in contributions. The majority of that was from special interest developers, engineering firms, etc. You can actually download the Adobe document, and you can make good use of AI. You plug it into AI, say, hey, tell me where all this money's coming from. Tell me the recurring themes. And it'll spit you out. The top 5 were all developer-related and industry-related, and that was in 24. Fast forward, 2026, $113,000, and that was before the April 1st. He got another $10,000 since then. But out of that $113,000, 80% of it was from outside of Manatee County. Right. And he held his campaign kickoff fundraiser in Sarasota County, which is outside of District 72. So, number one, where's the money come from? The people that are backing that candidate are the ones that expect results from that candidate. The only people backing me are a bunch of small contributions. And, I'm not good at this, but I'm gonna make a push. I got cards on the back table. I got bracelets that say my campaign slogan is slow the growth. So get a card, scan the QR code, and make a small contribution. Because that's the only way that I'm gonna get my name out there and defeat the special interest bought and paid for candidate.
So I can tell you, you're right. I started knocking on doors February 1st. I've knocked on over 1,600 doors. I thought the number one issue was going to be affordability, or the environment, or gas prices, or the war in Iran. The number one issue when I knock on the door is, what are you going to do about all this development? Number one issue. And when I look at them and I say, I take no money from the developers, I take no special interest money, I've been able to raise it independently, I don't need the money, I'm not going to be beholden to them, it's, well, you got my vote, So I don't know the answer exactly in a large scale, but it's got to be one person at a time, And then you gotta tell somebody, hey, this is the guy that developed and funded, I looked at his stuff. Then they gotta tell somebody. Then they gotta tell somebody. Then you gotta go to your neighborhood meeting, and you gotta stand up in your neighborhood meeting or your HOA, and you gotta say, hey, look, if you wanna have somebody that's beholden to special interests, here's your guy. If you want somebody that's not beholden to special interests, here's your guy. I mean, look, from my perspective, quite frankly, it would have been very easy for me to take developer and special interest money. I've been here long enough, I know those guys really well, I know who all of them are, I know who their subcontractors are. I can look at my opponent's list and I can point out to you the patentee of subcontractors on his list. So it's sometimes it's hard to discover that. But the only way that you do it is you start to win elections with candidates that don't or aren't beholden to special interests. You gotta win. You gotta win. Because if you don't win the election with a candidate that's not beholden to a special interest, the next cycle that comes around, you're not going to have all these guys up here. The only reason to run an election, and this goes kind of back to Mike's point, the only reason to run an election is to win. That's the only reason to run. If you're running to get your name out there, you're running for the wrong reason. If you're running for some kind of personal gain, you're running for the wrong reason. If you're running to double or triple what you made before you got into office, and you can look at some prior commissioners and see that, that's the wrong reason. You know, so you got to get out the reason that people are running, but we got to win, guys. I mean, we got to win. If you don't win, the next cycle you won't have grassroots candidates, because you can't run an election and spend the amount of time and believing the hours that got spent up here cumulatively by all of us. If we added them all up and told you guys the number of hours we spent, you would be like, you gotta be out of your mind. There's no way you guys spent that many hours. I'll bet if you added up the cumulative hours that everybody up here spent already running this race, it'd come up to 3 to 5 years. Seriously. I mean, a lot of time and effort, but you gotta win. I don't know if I'm stepping out of line, but you know, you gotta win, guys.
If I could add one thing, did I hear there's a District 1 candidate that's getting most of their money from out of state, or at least out of the county?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys should let the people know that, because that's a critical factor. That kind of thing is important.
Yeah, we had a huge success last time, because I was the only one that actually ran last election cycle. No, we got Mark there too. And got 40%, more than twice as many as, anyway, huge success last election cycle. And what I'm telling, and I'm going to say it again to every candidate, call them out. That's what people want to know. They want to hear, because it's not that they're too busy doing their jobs. This guy is developer backed, this guy isn't. Wear a pin and call them out.
So again,
let me add to that. So that guy's attacking me all over social media. All over social media. He's attacking me. Why is he doing that? Because he's got the same person working his campaign probably as Jennings the Priest. Jennings the Priest is running his campaign. I don't think that's a secret, is it?
It shouldn't be.
It's not.
Jack Nevin.
It shouldn't be a secret. But you've got to, you know, I've talked to people and they, oh, I'm off the grid. I don't do Facebook. I don't do social media. But so many people do social media that this group has to kind of get together, and you got to like our sites. You got to go on our pages, and you got to like John Phillips' page. You got to like my page. You got to like Eddie's page. You got to like the other candidates up here's page. And then you got to look at them diligently. And when somebody steps up and attacks them, you know, I can't attack back. I'm not going to lower myself to that level. But you as citizens, you can go on there and you can say, wait a minute, you know, aren't you the guy that took money from, you know, this kind of subcontractor? Aren't you the guy that, you know, is getting all your money from out of state? Aren't you the guy that held up Nancy Pelosi's podium? You know, I mean, we've got to have people that are in this audience help us fight back.
Okay.
Because you can't do it as candidates.
last go round, we did not have very much money. And we did amazing. Okay? We need to do it again. We did very well at the early voting sites, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but they're already there to vote. Okay? So you already have them there. We need people to help man the early voting sites. There are thousands of people that come to early voting, and then we picked the most, busiest on election day voting sites. You want to touch the most people? You got to be there. You can knock 5 million doors. Most people aren't home. You can leave your stuff on the door. I'm not saying that door knocking's bad. I'm just saying you're not going to get the results from that you will at the early voting. We combined all the candidates, volunteers, and we worked together as a slate last time, and we had all the voting sites manned. And we did awesome. The only county it was in Florida, I mean, we got punished for it, but it was awesome. We're still getting punished. So, that's what we really need from you guys as well, is just a few hours on whatever day. I gave all the locations to just help. I mean, even if it's an hour or two. Some of us were there all day. Like Tim was there all day at GT break, every single day. We had some of those. Ed, you and Paul were out every day at Lakewood Ranch, and we killed it. And I really want to do it again, but we need help. So is there any other questions, or are we?
Eddie, did you do any?
Let's do candidate-specific questions.
Did you do anything special Saturday, Eddie?
Yeah, thank you. For such a time as this, it's a scripture, and it's very true. It's just strange. I was telling the Forrest Gump speech, and I'm just going to say this real quick, that we were down there at a campaign event, and this guy just looks at me and he does this. I'm like, who is this guy? What's going on? That's kind of a fun story, right? If you didn't see it on social media. So he just does this. I'm like, what do you want? And I go up and talk to him, and he's like, I'm going to get married here. And I'm like, okay, why are you asking me that?
I know,
And he pulls out his vows, and he shares those vows with me, and he's like, what do you think? I'm like, this is really good. These are good vows. Anyway, it was really neat. It was a really special moment, and I don't know why he picked me out. It sounds like a campaign stunt. It wasn't a campaign stunt. The guy just called me out and asked me to get to marry him. So I ended up marrying him. Trent was the best man, and we married him right there at the Twisted Fork in Charlotte County, in front of 500 people. It was real neat because his wife, it was his wife's dad's favorite place, and she had died 10 years ago, right? Is that right? Yeah, so I got to still do the paperwork. I wasn't looking forward to more paperwork, but I got to do the paperwork to follow up with the marriage. But it was a beautiful ceremony. It didn't take very long, but for such a time as this. And I believe that in this right here, with all these candidates right here in Manatee County, it's for such a time as this, to take this county back and continue the fight for we the people. So thank you guys.
Any other candidate specific? No general questions to the whole commission board? No? Okay. Let's just go down. Yeah, hang on. Let's just go down and give everybody a chance to do closing remarks. Let's do like 90 seconds, because we're actually out of time.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. We really appreciate the time. We love this. Just something to remember, the CAM plan is simple: common sense academics, accountability and transparency, mastery of real world skills. Guys, I believe, as the Bible says, Proverbs 29 verse 18 says, without a vision, the people perish. We need a vision for the school board of Manatee County. I'm ready to bring that. Thank you very much, guys.
I want to thank everybody a lot for showing up. I know it's really getting late, so I'm just going to say, please vote for me, Elizabeth Arnold.
To follow up with what he was asking earlier, I just want to differ myself a little bit from the other candidates. I'm the only candidate that is local, born and raised, a U.S. veteran, and a former first responder, all wrapped into one candidate. I'm also the only one calling for local reform of our government. I think that we keep playing the same old game over and over again and expecting different results. It's the definition of insanity, as far as I was raised, and we can't keep doing that. We need to reform our local government to make sure that we have our voice heard. And I want to be a long-term solution. I'm not looking for this 2 years. I'm looking beyond that as well. I want to be a long-term solution as a candidate.
I'm just glad you all came. I'm glad I got to speak for you. with you. I am as country as they come. I'm not leaving, I'm not going anywhere. I have 18 horses in my house. I have a vested interest in Manatee County. I have a great love for Jesus, which is going to help me through all this. My wife and I have been married for 46 years. I've raised foster kids in Manatee County, and I have a great plan. And I got one word for you for development. I don't care what the vote comes to, it's going to be no. I don't care if it's a house across town, it's only going to be, the word contiguous has to be taken out, but that's who I am. The way I am here is the way I am in my church. If you don't believe me, look up New Wine Worship Center on Facebook. You're going to see that's the same way church as I am here. If you look at my podcast for Tampa, the Braden Times, episode 234, you can hear exactly who I am, what I believe in, and I think I'm not running this race, and I don't want to sound arrogant. I'm going to win this race. That's why I'm in it. Without a vision, if people perish, that's my vision. If I didn't believe it, I just sold a horse to make sure I could pay for my campaign ballot, because I didn't get the signatures. So it's not a coincidence his name was Cash. Anyway, here we go. Thank you very much. Just remember Mike Harrison, I'm real as it gets.
Didn't Carol Feltz sell a horse too to run? Folks, I've done a lot of things in my life. I've created 2 technology startups that have sold to publicly traded corporations. I work for major corporations. I work for IBM, I work for Dell. So I know something about business development, and I know how to create business and jobs. In my lifetime, I created hundreds of jobs. And so why am I doing this? I have a grandson named Preston, who's a sophomore in Lakewood Ranch High School. In 2 years, he's going to go to USF. He's probably going to take up computer science or something. 4 years from then, what's going to happen? He's going to leave. Folks, by 2030, 25% of our population in Florida is going to be over 65 years old. If we don't do something strategic now to build jobs and retain our families here, we're going to lose everything. So please consider me on August 18th, and I have to respectfully disagree with Mike, as I'm going to win this race. Thanks very much.
Again, my name is Ed Bailey, Republican native from Manatee County Commission District 2. I'm going to take your lead here. We're going to call them out. I am running against a builder candidate. I am running against someone who is in the pocket of the developers. And we, Amanda Ballard, and we are going to win. We are going to throw her out. A builder candidate is a builder candidate. I don't care if it's an election year and you think, oh, well, I'm going to change a few of my votes to get reelected. No. You took the wetland vote, you voted to take away our wetland buffers. You put 5,600 homes east of the FDAP line. You voted to get Mosaic a 14-year extension after they donated $350,000 to your under one roof project. You are bought and paid for. We are going to throw you out. Please go to electedrebellion.com, make a donation. Thank you very much. Have a great night. God bless.
For the record, Gadfly, Gibellina. And amazingly enough, everything that Ed said is true for my opponent, right? Exactly. He voted for developers. So I make it real easy, okay?
Mike Ron.
Oh, it's Mike Ron.
Yeah.
He's on the board at New College.
Who's his campaign manager?
Max Goodman is his campaign manager. He's voted for every major development. He is in the Builders Hall of Fame. So don't tell me he's not that. And if you look at the donations, and I put it up there, I make it real easy for anybody who wants to know. You click it on, campaign manager, Max Goodman, donations, 23 donations, all at the max of $1,000. Half of those are not even within the county. So that should be a red flag for you right off the bat. So it should be an easy choice. If you really want to know who I am, just go to YouTube, go look at the last 18 years of Board of County Commission meetings, look at the public comment, and you'll see the Gadfly is speaking for the people.
For the record.
Ference, District 6 at large. Vote for me. I've been in government. I know it better than anybody. I'm here for the citizens. Going to cut, the spending, save money, our money. It's as easy as ABC when you go to vote for me. Accountability, and for A, B, better government, and then C comes along, you got to get change. Change is put people like me in the seat up there. It'll be for the people and not for the special establishments. Thank you.
I would say giving a lawyer or a preacher a mic and telling them they only have 1 minute is cruel. Just absolutely cruel. But I'll try to do my best. I hope you all forgive me for my righteous indignation. I won't gush over Eddie, but I'll tell you I'm certainly a fan. And I've talked to Eddie many times about what I'm doing, and I've had advice from him. And I've walked the doors, whether it works or not. And what Eddie's told me about that, I keep thinking every time I get tired I'm going to quit, which is I really feel like I've been called to do this. And Eddie calls going to the doors a mission. That you're fulfilling the mission of what was set out to do. The Lord helps those that help themselves. So I'm going to keep knocking on doors. What you guys can do again, remember, follow their pages, like our pages, go on and follow us, post positive comments. When somebody attacks us, look at why they're attacking, look at who it is, stand up for us. That's what you can do to help in this race. If you can't get money, that's fine. If you can give a little bit of time, that's better. You can stand up for us on Facebook and social media, that works too. So there's something that everyone can do here that will help these candidates. Any one of those 3 things is fantastic. And thank you guys for staying so long and listening to us. Thank you for having us.
I started with nothing and now I'm here. And I don't know if some of you may be familiar with that term, but I truly started out at the lowest possible poverty level that you can imagine. I joined the Coast Guard to escape that. 31 and a half years later, I worked hard every day for everything that I've got, and nothing was handed to me. And speaking of working hard, I also worked very diligently to get my petitions, not because the fee of $1,800 is unaffordable, and not because I don't already have that much in my campaign, but because I wanted to prove to the people that I was willing to work. I door knocked, I went to ball games, I went to events, I collected 1,790 petitions to turn in. I actually collected more than that because I just qualified a few on my own, about 150 of them. But I turned in 1,790 petitions. It's coincidentally, 1790 was the year that the Coast Guard was born. Yeah. And I'm very proud of that fact. I'm also proud of the fact that I'm going to be the only Coast Guard veteran in Tallahassee come August. Well, after August 18th, I'll be the candidate to be the only one in Tallahassee that is a Coast Guard veteran. And thank you for your time. Like I said, thank you for showing up. And just to reiterate, visit our Facebook pages, contribute, do whatever you can to stand up for this grassroots alliance and make sure that you get the right candidates. Look at their contributions.
Guys, this is just a huge honor. What an amazing slate. This is huge. Compared to 2 years ago, we're moving in the right direction. So I do want to just remind everybody that there's some titles that I'm claiming. The largest grassroots Republican candidate in Florida history, as measured by the number of petitions signed. And I'm going to ask you for some help because there's a lot of little fights along the way to get there. One of them is just to get me on the Bradenton Times podcast. I have not been invited on, and it's been 2 years. I've spent over like $700,000 with this fight, and won 40% of the vote. Just sent shockwaves, and yet I can't get on the Bradenton Times podcast. I know they're saying some nice things, but we need. So do me a favor, Mitch O'Malley, send him an email, say, please, we want to hear Eddie Speir on the podcast. That's one little fight. There's a bunch of other fights that are going to take place, but I need help along the way. And one of the helpers is this guy right here, Rylan Kaczynski is the Winter Soldier, his Facebook page, Winter Soldiers, and you'll see the Winter Soldiers that are out there. And again, just one more reminder, we don't need sunshine patriots when it's easy. We need Winter Soldiers who are willing to bear down in the hard times, and these are hard times but it is worth the fight, and we are all called for such a time as this. Thank you, guys.
Okay, one big hand of applause for all the candidates. And now we are going to do the 50-50 draw. Is there anyone who wants a last minute ticket? Oh, everyone's got their ticket? Okay. So the pot's a little more than 350. Okay. Who wants to draw? Who didn't buy a ticket? Okay, John. John's got big hands. In his.
Okay. 7107803.
That's the wrong number.
7107803.
Wait a bit.
Try again.
No, wait.
7107803.
I know it's not mine. All right, go next.
Who begins with yours?
It went home. Okay, next.
710
Yay!
7915.
7915?
Yay! 7107915?
14.
Oh, what's
All right, George. Okay, awesome. Okay, we're all good. Now, I'm going to send another punch bowl for our next, like I said, the big one that's going to be at the fairgrounds. So everybody keep a lookout for that one. That's going to be the last Sunday of June. And anybody who didn't sign up or wants to, you can, sign up with the papers I gave you. There's also magnets in the bags for your cards that say Stop the Development. Don't throw those out.
Hey guys, real nice to see you.